It's the colder time of year season, the snow tops off the ground, and a Christmas melody plays as house by house is shown. A columnist of Fall Oaks Town remains amidst frigid trees with a mic in her grasp and her face coordinated towards the camera. She centers around sharing the data of the yearly celebration and discusses an inspiration, Rachel Kennedy, who is showing up at her old neighborhood. A vehicle passes by as she discusses another book and how interesting and motivating Christmas will be for them all. A dark limousine stops at the front of a bistro as the inspiration and uplifting speaker, Rachel, escapes the vehicle and enters the little comfortable bistro. A woman approaches her as a server offers her with a seat to plunk down on. After she sits, she educates her regarding that having her back is so great. Rachel communicates her distance and claims that the inclination isn't common. The woman expectations and offers her anxiety that approaching back home isn't getting to her. In any case, before she can come up a reaction, a man in a suit strolls in and converses with her about marking an arrangement with the distributor. She consents to sign it. The male unveils it's the ideal opportunity for her to mount the stage, and she moans. In front of an audience, the city chairman assumes command, letting them know that this is the best Christmas of all time. The group applauds cheerfully, and he goes further to let them know how the town legend is back and acquaints her with the crowd. She gathers the mic and thanks the city hall leader for the exceptional distinction as they applaud once more. She goes to the group and lets them know how cheerful she will be to see everybody at her live motivation festivity occasion. She gives them a task when they return home. They ought to gaze at the mirror and glance back at themselves. Asserting the main individual in your universe is the one you're gazing at from the mirror. She goes further to advise them to deal with themselves first, prior to dealing with others. At the point when she is finished with her little discourse, the city chairman takes the mic, and the residents of Fall Oaks Town applaud. He offers the brilliant key of Fall Oaks Town to her before they present for the camera, and a blissful yell rings out through the group. Her chief, Stuart, is glad that the day finished well as he strolls her to her vehicle. She welcomes him to eat something, however he has some place to be. He urges her to return home and work on something for herself, to loosen up and watch a film, or paint her nails. She laughs and concurs. Subsequent to saying goodbye, the two of them leave. The Christmas melody named Signal Ringers play as she drives home. At the point when she returns home and finds how desolate the spot is, she opens her telephone and goes to her sibling's contact. She needs to message him yet can't, not subsequent to remaining away for quite a long time. Despondent and feeling alone, she closes her telephone and murmurs. The following day at her office, she sits in the gathering room with Stuart and her colleague, Bridget. Stuart jumps up the issue of distributing and expanding her perceivability. Her associate notices about gathering a maker, and she goes to her director with a look of disarray all over. He affirms it, and the distributor requests that they enlist a nearby expert maker nearby and vows to deal with it. Bridget likewise raises giving her family, and as she yells about the gifts she'll get for them, Stuart tosses in a mean remark about getting them a similar gift consistently. She disregards him and lets them know she has no clue about what to get her sibling, since she scarcely knows him. Both Stuart and Bridget give her a thoughtful look, and she tells her she'll deal with it. She stands up and exits the workplace, advising Stuart to track down her a dependable maker. At the grocery store, subsequent to getting the gifts for her sibling and his family, she goes to pay. The clerk is engaged with a discussion about how fortunate her family is to have her, and she laughs and tells her that in the event that she can't give time, you get a gift. The young lady honestly loves hers, so Rachel imparts to her about the occasion coming up and welcomes her to come. The clerk communicates that she'd very much want to, yet it's all in all too costly, and says something about how she has no clue motivation could be so expensive. Rachel laughs clumsily. All of a sudden, a more unusual strides in and calls her consideration. She pivots, and her foreheads lift in shock at the gorgeous man before her. He gives her a timid grin and holds up two ties, asking which one is better. She laughs and picks the blue one. He concurs and offers a handshake prior to telling her his name. She gives back in kind. He expresses he's from Boston and his telephone rings. He wishes her a happy holidays and leaves. Leaving the shop, Stuart calls her and states he has tracked down the ideal maker. Uncovering she's coming, she hangs up and rushes her moves toward her vehicle, needing to get to the workplace as quickly as time permits. Because of this, she neglects to see the impending vehicle as she goes to go across the street. A lady, who is likewise cruising by, sees this and pulls her back before she draws nearer to the vehicle. Rachel's standing up and saying sorry to the lady as she picks her fallen food. Rachel connects for an orange on the floor, inquiring as to whether she's all right. Subsequent to giving it to her, she offers her thanks by opening her satchel, needing to repay the individual for saving her. Yet, she advises her to go assistance another person who needs it, all things considered. Flabbergasted, Rachel requests her name, and she tells her she's Satisfaction. Stuart enters her office, asserting he called her. However, she didn't bring it back. She calls Bridget and solicitations for an ice pack. This concerns Stuart, and he asks about what occurred. She portrays her experience with her lady from an auto collision. He inquires as to why she didn't call, and she lets him know she's fine. However, wouldn't be in the event that the lady hasn't pushed her far removed. He is amped up for how they can involve the occurrence for promoting, and he draws out his telephone. She stops him by revealing its reality. It's significant that an individual comes to save her, and she can't quit mulling over everything. She goes further, and uncovered that she dismissed her cash, and told her to help somebody who needs it. Stuart plunks down on the seat and verse her, and tells her she has no clue about who she is, saying she helps individuals constantly, wherever with her books and workshops. She removes him, shaking her head, uncovering how he's not getting her, that she doesn't know she'd have done likewise to another person. Stuart pronounces that he knows she's close to home at this moment. However, he really wants her head in the game, guaranteeing the occasion is just 14 days away. As the two of them climb the steps to the gathering room, Rachel asks who the maker is, and Stuart tells her he's a decent one. He can convey what they need. As the two of them enter, Rachel is stunned to see Jack, the man she experienced at the grocery store when she went to get gifts for her sibling and his loved ones. She grins and approaches him, asking about how the tie chase went, and he guarantees her it was a decent decision. In any case, their discussion is stopped when Stuart inquires as to whether they know one another. She gestures, expressing that he wanted her expert assessment on a tie at the store. After the short discussion, they all plunk down on the love seats, and she questions his resume and application, and asks what he's doing around. He offers a dubious response, then, at that point, revels and offers with her that he accepted this position since he sees expected in her profession. Confused, she expresses to him that there's now expected in her work, though impolitely. He dissents, going further to uncover his 48-hour survey on her page, and the couple of things he recommends they do any other way. She flies off the handle, however he doesn't stop there. He specifies how they ought to add various things, and furthermore makes an idea about adding Christmas festivities, to make it more about Christmas than her picture. She asserts Christmas isn't her strong point. In a cut book, Stuart sits and watches the trade between them. Detecting her pessimistic energy and outrage, he believes he's not the most qualified individual. She concurs anxiously. All of a sudden, Stuart steps in and takes Rachel outside the gathering space to have a word with her. He questions what she's doing, and she voices out her aversion for his methodology. He persuades her that he's the best they got, and his resume is great. With the occasion nearby, they will not have the option to get another maker. It's the colder season, the snow finishes off the ground, and a Christmas song plays as house by house is shown. A journalist of Fall Oaks town stays in the midst of cold trees with a mic in her grip and her face composed towards the camera. She bases on sharing the information of the yearly festival and talks about a motivation, Rachel Kennedy, who is making an appearance at her old area. A vehicle passes by as she examines another book, and how fascinating and persuading Christmas will be for them all. A dim limousine stops at the front of a bistro, as the motivation and elevating speaker, Rachel, gets away from the vehicle and enters the little agreeable bistro. A lady moves toward her as a server offers her with a seat to plunk down on. After she sits, she teaches her with respect to that having her back is so fantastic. Rachel imparts her distance and claims that the tendency isn't normal. The lady assumptions and offers her nervousness that on coming back home isn't getting to her. Regardless, before she can come up a response, a man in a suit walks around and chats with her about denoting a game plan with the distributor. She agrees to sign it. The mail discloses it's the best and open door for her to mount the stage, and she groans. Before a crowd of people, the city executive accepts order, telling them that this is the best Christmas ever. The gathering praises happily, and he goes further to tell them how the town legend is back, and familiarizes her with the group. Yet again she accumulates the mic and thanks the city lobby pioneer for the excellent qualification as they hail. She goes to the gathering and tells them how happy she will be to see everyone at her live inspiration party event. She gives them an undertaking when they get back. They should look at the mirror and look back at themselves, stating the primary person in your universe is the one you're looking at from the mirror. She goes further to encourage them to manage themselves first, preceding managing others. Right when she is done with her little talk, the city executive takes the mic, and the inhabitants of Fall Oaks Town cheer. He offers the splendid key of Fall Oaks Town to her before they present for the camera, and a merry shout rings out through the gathering. Her boss, Stuart, is happy that the day completed well as he walks her to her vehicle. She invites him to eat something, but he has a spot to be. He encourages her to get back and work on something for herself, to relax and watch a film, or paint her nails. She giggles and agrees. Resulting to bidding farewell, both of them leave. The Christmas song named Signal Ringers play as she drives home. Right when she gets back and finds how forlorn the spot is, she opens her phone and goes to her kin's contact. She really wants to message him yet can't, not ensuing to staying away for a seriously lengthy time span. Melancholy and feeling alone, she shuts her phone and mumbles. The next day at her office, she sits in the social event room with Stuart and her partner, Bridget. Stuart hops up the issue of conveying and growing her detectable quality. Her partner sees about social event a producer, and she goes to her chief with a look of disorder everywhere. He insists it, and the distributor demands that they enroll a close by master creator close by and promises to manage it. Bridget moreover raises giving her family, and as she shouts about the gifts she'll get for them, Stuart throws in a mean comment about getting them a comparable gift reliably. She dismisses him and tells them she knows practically nothing about what to make her kin, since she barely knows him. Both Stuart and Bridget give her an insightful look, and she tells her she'll manage it. She stands up and exits the working environment, encouraging Stuart to find her a trustworthy creator. At the supermarket, ensuing to getting the gifts for her kin and his family, she goes to pay. The representative is locked in with a conversation about how lucky her family is to have her, and she giggles and lets her that in the occasion know that she can't give time. You get a gift. The young woman genuinely adores hers, so Rachel gives to her about the event coming up and invites her to come. The assistant imparts that she'd a lot of need to, yet it's all things considered excessively exorbitant, and expresses something about how she does not know inspiration could be so costly. Rachel chuckles cumbersomely. Out of nowhere, an additional surprising steps in and calls her thought. She turns and her brows lift in shock at the flawless man before her. He gives her a tentative smile and holds up 2 ties, asking which one is better. She chuckles and picks the blue one. He agrees and offers a handshake preceding telling her his name. She offers back in kind. He communicates he's from Boston and his phone rings. He wishes her a Merry Christmas and leaves. Leaving the shop, Stuart calls her and states he has found the best producer. Uncovering she's coming, she hangs up and surges her pushes toward her vehicle, expecting to get to the work environment as fast as far as possible. Along these lines, she forgets to see the approaching vehicle as she goes to go across the road. A woman, who is in like manner cruising by, sees this and pulls her back before she moves closer to the vehicle. Rachel's standing up and saying sorry to the woman as she picks her fallen food. Rachel interfaces for an orange on the floor, inquisitive with regards to whether she's okay. Resulting to giving it to her, she offers her thanks by opening her bag, expecting to compensate the person for saving her. However, she encourages her to go help someone else who needs it in light of everything. Floored, Rachel demands her name, and she tells her she's fulfillment. Stuart enters her office, declaring he called her, but she didn't bring it back. She calls Bridget and requesting for an ice pack. This concerns Stuart, and he gets some information about what happened. She depicts her involvement in her woman from a car crash. He asks with respect to why she didn't call, and she tells him she's fine, but wouldn't be if the woman hasn't pushed her distant. He is amped up for how they can include the event for advancing, and he draws out his phone. She stops him by uncovering its world. It's huge that a singular comes to save her, and she can't stop thinking about everything. She goes further and uncovered that she excused her money and told her to help someone who needs it. Stuart plunks down on the seat, reverse her, and educates her she does not know regarding who she is, saying she helps people continually, any place with her books and studios. She eliminates him, shaking her head, revealing how he's not getting her, that she doesn't realize she'd have done moreover to someone else. Stuart articulates that he knows she's up close and personal right now, but he truly needs her head in the game, ensuring the event is only 14 days away. As both of them climb the moves toward the get-together room, Rachel asks who the creator is, and Stuart tells her he's a good one. He can convey what they need. As both of them enter, Rachel is dazed to see Jack, the man she encountered at the supermarket when she went to get gifts for her kin and his friends and family. She smiles and approaches him, getting some information about how the Thai pursuit went, and he promises her it was a nice choice. Anyway, their conversation is halted when Stuart asks with respect to whether they know each other. She signals, communicating that he needed her master evaluation on a Thai at the store. After the short conversation, they generally plunk down on the adoration seats, and she questions his resume and application and asks what he's doing near. He offers a questionable reaction, then delights and offers with her that he acknowledged this situation since he sees anticipated in her calling. Confounded, she communicates to him that there's presently anticipated in her work, however discourteously. He contradicts, going further to reveal his 48 hours overview on her page, and the 2 or 3 things he suggests they do differently. She flies out of control, but he doesn't stop there. He indicates how they should add different things, and besides makes a thought regarding adding Christmas celebrations to make it more about Christmas than her image. She declares Christmas isn't areas of strength for her. In a cut book, Stuart sits and watches the exchange between them. Distinguishing her cynical energy and shock, he trusts he's not the top person. She agrees tensely. Out of nowhere, Stuart steps in and takes Rachel outside the social event space to have a word with her. He questions what she's doing, and she voices out her revulsion for his philosophy. He convinces her that he's the best they got, and his resume is perfect. With the event close by, they won't have the choice to get another creator. She requests the name of the tune, and he tells her it's Christmas Recollections. The 2 of them play with cleanser froth and snicker. The affection flying all around is interfered with when Bridget enters and lets Jack know that Paul, his aide, is calling for him. Before long, Bliss requests that Rachel join her in enhancing Christmas trimming at her home, and she anxiously concurs. As they are brightening, Rachel imparts to her about how she missed this piece of Christmas while growing up, and Happiness inquires as to whether she has reached out to her sibling. Rachel lets it be known went poorly. She gets miserable as she describes when her father died, and she quit all that helped her to remember him. Everything, including her loved ones. She traveled to Los Angeles and just returned to her mother's memorial service. Following that, she flew back to Los Angeles and sent cash at whatever point she could, and it turned into her approach to making a difference. She concedes not faulting him for blaming her for it, guaranteeing she deserted him when he really wanted her the most, and reviving a relationship with him is past the point of no return. Euphoria voices that it's never past the point of no return for anything, and gives her a grin. She likewise tells her that she gets the opportunity of having a family, and that she shouldn't discard everything. In acknowledgement and understanding, she composes it on an adornment and drapes it on the Christmas tree. At the point when she returns home that evening, she sends a voice message to her sibling letting him know she misses him and communicating her adoration for him. At her Christmas celebration, while she and Jack are moving, Stuart tells her that she has a visitor hanging tight for her at the entryway. She's amazed to see her sibling remaining there and hurries to embrace him. Jack sees them and leaves with a miserable face. The 2 kin sit in the parlor region to talk. She provides him with her sack of gifts for himself as well as his family, and he does likewise, telling her it's from the children. Both protest and off-kilter quiet before he breaks it. He articulates about how he hasn't seen her in 3 years and inquires as to why it's been for such a long time. She shakes her head, giving reasons of being occupied and getting wrapped up. He portrays that it's like he and his family never again exist, It are at this point not in that frame of mind to guarantee they. Not having anything to say, he rises up to go, yet tells her how glad he is of her. The following day, she goes up against Jack and asks him for what reason he left the party without bidding farewell. He shrugs, revealing that he thinks leaving early was better, to keep things proficient. Rachel is stunned and pulls back from him. However, he stops her and asks who the man at her home last evening was. She becomes flushed when she understands he was envious, and he lets it be known when she lets him know it's her sibling. Both Jack and Rachel stop at her sibling's home to welcome him for the occasion and choose to spend time with the family for some time, subsequent to saying sorry to them for her non-attendance in their life. Back at the workplace, Stewart shows Rachel the data he accumulated about Bliss, and she feels crushed when she sees that Happiness has a capture record. At Rachel's home, Rachel defies her about the capture record, and she describes to her that she took cash at the general store she worked at for her child, since she didn't have anything, and later needed to surrender him for reception. From that point forward, she chose to help any individual who required help. She holds in her tears and leaves her home, subsequent to dropping the nursery apple book. At the occasion, Rachel trusts in Jack and lets him know she laments getting some information about it. He asks her to proceed to work it out with Joyce. At the point when she leaves, he takes the book from her sack, and a photograph of him when he was a child drops out from it. He is stunned to figure out the genuine personality of his introduction to the world mother and Tempest's over to Happiness home, however meets Rachel on the way and goes up against her about it. Detecting his frenzy, she encourages him to quiet down, and he takes his own recommendation. He tunes in and goes to Delight. He shares his most profound stresses over what he thought when she surrendered him, and she explains, letting him know she needed to give him a decent life. The two of them separate, and Jack pronounces he wants space to clear his head and consider it. Both Jack and Rachel sit on her lounge chair, watching a video, and Jack recommends treats. Coming back from getting it, he hears a discussion among Austin and Stewart about how Jack will quit functioning for them after the upcoming occasion, how it's completely arranged out by Rachel, and all that to her is work. Furious and feeling deceived, he storms over to her, tosses the treats on the love seat, and goes to put on his jacket. Let Rachel know how he was a blockhead to have confided in her. At the occasion, Rachel faces Stewart about it and offers that she can never again work with him. Jack hears the discussion with the headset on and chooses to converse with her after the occasion. He goes behind the stage, where Austin likewise stands. The two of them watch, alongside a group, as she talks about giving and helping other people. After her uplifting discourse, she goes behind the stage, where Austin tells her he prefers what he sees, and she acquires herself another book bargain. She is astounded yet excited, and acknowledges. At the point when he leaves, Jack salutes her prior to saying sorry for getting them wrong. She consoles him. Also, that is the point at which the two of them understand they care deeply about one another. They share a kiss. The scene slices to Satisfaction's home, where she plays the piano. The children are playing with toys. David and his better half Susie dance, and Jack and Rachel are nestling together on the sofa. Every one of them sing a Christmas tune, and Jack and Rachel share a kiss, smiling at one another.